Alright, we're back into it, day 2. Bit of a hard night sleeping on the floor down there. Cleaned up the mess a little bit. I've put a tray under the old motor, so any oil dripping out of that goes into that little tray. I'll deal with that later on. I don't think there's anything left on there that we need. Got to focus on the sump. We want to swap this sump across onto this motor now. Assuming the same bolt pattern and everything, this could all turn to crap real quick right now, but should be. Pretty sure the blocks are the same between the two variants of the engine. So you can see I've done a little bit of a oil filter relocation jobby on this. Pretty tight squeeze. A little bit of a nunga on the hose there from the air conditioning pump. I'll radius the edge of that pump where it goes through there to stop it going any further than that. Should be okay. It's not ideal, but it should be alright. Chopped up, you can see that arch there. That's the original oil filter location, and basically it winds up being too low through the front here. So you can see I've reduced its profile through that area. And because of the application that I've got here, because this ute in behind us here, that's had a body drop onto the chassis essentially, in the front end at least, the rest of it's custom. You can't have that extra height that we would have had. It would end up that the engine would simply be on too much of an angle and you'd have problems with drive shafts and stuff like that. So it's been quite heavily fiddled with, mucked around with. I thought it was my sump that was leaking and making all the mess, but as you can see, the oils come from further up. There's actually other things on the motor that's been making the mess. One thing I did find when I took this off and I was looking around, and I was like, there's a bolt missing there. Where's our bolt gone? And I found the bolt. It was in the sump. But as you can see, it's not very happy, so it's had a go at something inside that. So we're quite lucky that didn't do any further damage. All the rest of them are tight. Not sure why that one bolt decided it didn't want to be there anymore. But that happens, so I'll deal with that. They'll all come out, a little bit of Loctite on them when I put this all back together. No metal filings or anything like that in there, but it is pretty dirty. I was pretty lazy when it came to changing the oil on this particular motor. Didn't bother with it. I think it did 25,000 Ks on one oil change. So yeah, you can expect it to be a bit dark, but right, I'm going to clean that up and then we're going to make sure it fits onto there and we'll get it on there. At that point we'll put the engine mounts on and we'll throw it back in the hole. Should be interesting. Okay, it's all nice and clean. There was a little pinhole weld that I tried to rectify, hole in a weld that I tried to rectify, but it turns into a bit of a nightmare because it was basically a double skin. So as I tried to weld the hole, it pressurized the cavity and blew oil out of it. So that was awesome. Never mind. Yep. Same. So that goes on there. That's all good. Just got to clean that up a little bit. I will run through and just recheck all these torques because I don't even remember if I've done that or not, so double check it. We'll put it on there, and then we're just about ready to offer that up into that hole and see what happens. I do need to take this bush out of here, and I need to get a spigot bush for the manual setup rather than the auto. I also need to get a new clutch, basically. I don't like the looks of what I've got, and there's no point in putting an old one in and having it die. Nothing's ever easy, so these manifolds never came off the motor when it went into the ute originally, because the motor was installed in the ute and then the body was dropped back down one. So some of these bolts, after 20 years, they seized in there. That's no surprise. Bit of CRC and a bit of a tap. I got some out, but certainly not all of them. So drill and tap those puppies and we'll be away. Sump's on, engine mounts are on, those ones, adapter mounts, whatever you want to call them, mount rubbers, etc., they can actually sit in the chassis. I undid those 2 bolts off the chassis and tried to take it out that way. That was the wrong way to do it, made it harder. So putting it back together is going to be easier. Still have not organised anything with this here. Do need a new friction plate. Going to probably drop that gearbox down shortly. Like I say, it'll be easier to drop the engine into the hole without the gearbox in the way and put the gearbox up from the back. But nothing's ever easy. We'll see. Well, I think that's the best way of doing it. I've got some stuff, some cleaning product, CRC, oh there it is, CRC brake clean, coming with real Coca-Cola now instead of sugar-free Coca-Cola. And I'm going to go through and clean all this guff here. Have to make up my mind whether that's going back in or whether I'm using a standard water pump without the hydraulic pump on it. And then going electric fan conversion. Don't really want to do that because that's pretty reliable, works pretty well. Prefer to keep it, but we'll see. Cool, that was an absolute walk in the park. Not really. The difficult thing is now I've got to try and figure out a way to get this off here without any assistance, because it's just me in here. So there's some assistance there, that big yellow thing, that'll do it. Gearbox itself not too bad to lift. Gearbox plus that cross member thing, nah man, she's a bit too cumbersome. And then we'll have a crack at putting that in the hole and see where we're at. I don't know about all this guff at the back here of this inlet manifold. I think there's potentially problems there that I'll have to try and figure out along the way. Please excuse the rain on the roof. It is spring, it does rain. Right, it does physically fit, so that's good. Kind of thought it would, but we are quite close at the back there with that diaphragm to the firewall, but conveniently there's a little bit of a dimple there in the firewall, so it's not bad, not terrible. It's about where it sits. It's not quite 100% right at the moment. There's a couple of shims that go under the left hand side here to square things up. I got a little bit wrong when I made the engine mounts for it, so there's just a couple of shims that go in there. It does sit slightly skew around that way in the chassis. That's pretty much the only way I can make things work with the components that we've got. This D40 Navara box, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see the comparison very well, but there's that there, and there's the Z33 box / Skyline box. These are a big beast. They really are. Different castings on them, so they're really wide in comparison. Not sure if that center, even that center sandwich plate through here, that's a different casting on that. You can see there's a couple of bits missing over this side that has. So they are the same family of gearbox, but not identical. So that's a really big unit to try and fit into that trans tunnel when you've lowered the body on the chassis. So that's why we're a little bit tight, a little bit squeezed in there. Heaps of room at the front though. I did set the thing back that way as far as I could. Not that it was a performance beastie, but why not? Right, still a lot to do, so I'll crack on with that. Right, still raining. A few more bits on there. Haven't decided about the water pump yet. Haven't done anything with that. That reservoir for the fan, hydraulic fan pump, that definitely sits right there. You won't even get the throttle on, never mind a pipe. Relatively good clearance at the back there. It does actually hit on a vacuum fitting for the brake booster that hits against that air conditioning line there. That's no problem at all. I can move that somewhere else and blank that off. That's a piece of cake. As you can see, I haven't got the bolts in those holes on the top manifold there, so we can shift that, sort that out, so that's all good. Got a bit more space back. Yay! More room to sleep tonight. This needs sorting out. I'll show you what's going on with that in the next video. We've got a little bit of a gremlin there just because of everything that's going on with the custom gearbox and all that sort of carry on. couple of might require another spacer to sort some things out, which will get a bit carried away, I guess. Multiple spacers, but look, I just happen to have one there, so never mind, we can do that. Alright, that'll do. I'll smash that up. Anyone wants this, let me know. It works, won't have a sump, you'll have to sort your own sump out. Not the best motor in the world, but it'll be alright for a dirt track car or something like that. It'll keep going. No dramas inside there. Right. Actually looks tidier, doesn't it? It's better than having the injectors and everything hanging off the top of it like that. It's just, it's a shame it's not one of the ones with the throttle out the side. Would have been easier than the throttle at the front there. Never mind. Right. Like, share, subscribe, all that crap. Okay. Cheers, bye.